study all the way through in Hong Kong, and as Thomas mentioned, we really have an excellent track record, much better than many other institutions for those of our students who study in Hong Kong, want to continue in Hong Kong to the PCLL and to become lawyers. And we have so many lawyers in Hong Kong among our alumni. But we also want to give you different choices. That's why Simon mentioning just now that if you start studying on the University of London program and you decide you want to switch to London, then yes, you can do that. The program I run, the Graduate Diploma in English and Hong Kong Law, that's run together with Manchester Metropolitan University. So if you start studying in Hong Kong, of course you can finish in Hong Kong. Most of our students finish in Hong Kong. But if you want to transfer, again, you can transfer. Guess where? Not London. Manchester Metropolitan University. You can transfer to Manchester. So the University of London program, you can continue, finish in Hong Kong if you want, or you can try and make arrangements to transfer to colleges in London. The Graduate Diploma in English and Hong Kong Law, you can again finish in Hong Kong. Most students will finish in Hong Kong. Or if you want to, you can transfer partway through to Manchester. And Manchester do actually now guarantee that. So that's the flexibility. Again, of course, most students will be finishing in Hong Kong, but it does give you the flexibility if you change your mind. And of course, for the University of London, Simon, you could actually go elsewhere in the world, can't you?
Yes, of course. You can do it, say, just on your own as an independent candidate. You can just take examination wherever you're prepared. And you can perhaps, say in Canada, some candidates may be considering to relocate to Canada. As far as I know, there are at least one or two local recognized teaching center by the University of London there to provide local tuition for candidates.
And Thomas, another question came in asking about legal executives. You summarised everything very well, but of course, perhaps there's a little bit more to say about what is a legal executive and why is it a good idea to study a course to become a legal executive?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. A legal executive is basically assistant to lawyers, right? They work in a law firm. They help lawyers perform many of the tasks needed by a law firm, right? And a legal executive is a title basically conferred by the Hong Kong Law Society. And it's a very nice title to have. I mean, it's something that you can put in your CV, on a web page, on LinkedIn, whatever. Of course, right, to become an assistant to a lawyer, you don't necessarily need to become a legal executive, right? We call them by many names: legal assistant, paralegals, law clerks, or we still call them in Chinese CA, right? What I believe, this is my own personal opinion, I think, like in many other jurisdictions, the Law Society is trying to professionalize the role of a legal assistant, right? So I think if you are thinking about working, not necessarily becoming a lawyer, but becoming a legal assistant, law clerk, this is a very good way. Also, if you want the title of a legal executive, you have to be in what we call the professional stream. I think it's a good time for me to explain the differences between the two streams, right? So the similarities are the law is the same, the content is the same, the exams the same, the program director is the same, everything's the same, right? So what's the difference between the general stream and professional stream? Well, in HKU SPACE, as I mentioned before, we're a non-profit organization. Our goal is not to make money, but to make education affordable to all, right? So that's why we created this general stream, larger class size, more affordable fees, about $23,000 Hong Kong. Most traditionally, we get our students to study at the Hong Kong U campus in the large lecture halls. But if you want to get the title of a legal executive, you have to be in a professional stream, right? More smaller class size, more intimate learning environments, I guess. More opportunity for students and for the teacher to interact with you. A slightly higher cost because we have to fit in more students, right? Otherwise, everything's the same, right? Also, one more important thing, if you're thinking about, the pathway to PCLL via this new program, right? The Advanced Diploma for Legal Executive, graduate level, right? you have to start in the very beginning on a professional stream, right? Okay, so thank you very much for that question.
Yes, remember you can probably you're here today, you're thinking, at least some of you, thinking about becoming a lawyer, and Hong Kong U SPACE, we've helped so many students become successful lawyers, especially in Hong Kong, but around the world. But although we offer quicker paths than many other institutions, I mean, it is going to take several years and minimum to become a lawyer. So that can be the end goal, but it's going to take a while to get there. And that's where the idea of legal executive or other similar qualifications comes in. Okay, a legal executive, if you do different legal studies, right? I mean, 1.5 to more commonly 2.5 years, you can be qualified as a legal executive, right?
Exactly. I mean, we have this saying, you know, I mean, this is very silly in a way, but, you know, earn while you learn, right? What that means is, you know, you don't have to, unlike other programs from other institutions, you don't have to quit your job, and, you know, it's not easy, all right? So you can study and, you know, still have an income at the same time, right? And I think the great thing about Hong Kong U SPACE is that we are very experienced in, in catering to part-time students. You know, we've been doing it since we were created. You know, that's the difference.
Yeah, we are pretty much here for part-time, and the vast majority, in fact, almost all our law courses in Hong Kong U SPACE are for part-time students. I started my own legal studies here at Hong Kong U SPACE studying part-time on the law courses here. Before I studied here at Hong Kong U SPACE, I knew no law at all, and I learned what law I knew, and went on to be running programs here from studying here part-time. And we get people from literally all walks of life, okay? So we understand, right, that as I remembered full well when I was studying here, when you're in a busy job and rushing to classes, okay? There's plenty of other questions coming in by email, but just again, I'll give a first priority always goes to those who've actually in the room with us. So please don't feel shy if there are any questions.
I know there's a lot of information to absorb, so it might take some time. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please do. There's a microphone on its way.
So thank you for your introduction of these 3 main courses. Other than that, I'm interested in one of the courses in the prospectus that is about the arbitration. Would you mind to speak more about the content of the course, because I'm quite interested on the arbitration and mediation. So don't know how to have more knowledge about this or any entry about this professional area. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question asking about arbitration courses. We try our best to cover a wide variety of questions here. Unfortunately, arbitration, although it is closely related to law, it's actually run by a different section within Hong Kong U SPACE. So try as we best. We're probably not the best people to answer your question. We can certainly pass on your details to the people running the arbitration courses.
Can I ask you your background, a little bit of your background in perhaps your reason for your interest in what we call alternative dispute resolution?
Professional accountants, but due to my working experience, I think that mediation or arbitration is more peaceful way to solve disputes.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
So,
that's correct.
So I just have a little idea about law because just study a few subjects in my graduate level. But I think this may be helpful for me in my current working environment, or maybe enhance in my other level. Just as I understand, there is a arbitration association or whatever. So want to know more about that. And I know there is a postgraduate diploma about this area. So want to know more and see whether I can take this because a little bit comprehensive and I need to travel overseas for work sometimes. So see whether I can afford for this course.
Can I just, if you don't mind me saying, because my background is in international arbitration. I used to work for an organization in the States, so I know a little bit about arbitration. If you don't mind me saying, given I'm just assuming things, right? But given your accounting background, which is fantastic, for someone to be in the field of arbitration, mediation, I think it's important for the person to have a body of law, because when they go into mediation, arbitration, negotiation, the negotiating power and position is very important. So I would suggest it's important whether you're dealing with family mediation or commercial, international arbitration, for someone to have this body of law beforehand. And also, in my own program, the certificate, diploma, we do have courses built in, for example, family law, talking about family mediation, all right? In the Advanced Diploma for Legal Studies, we have a course on negotiation and dispute resolution. So I think studying arbitration mediation is by itself is great, but I would really strongly recommend that you have as a fundamental basis the body of law beforehand, before you go into studying that, especially at a postgraduate level. Okay.
Does that answer your question, or any follow-up question? Yeah. No, at all. Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll pass to some more email questions.
Okay, we have a question here. It says, I'm not sure when I'll become a lawyer. I mean, that's fine. I mean, a lot of people don't know. What path is best for me in terms of time and costs? Maybe we can all answer that.
I think, Thomas, I pass to you because yours is the general introductory course. But just before I pass to you, I'll point out that Hong Kong U SPACE, we're the most popular providers of law, part-time law courses anywhere in Hong Kong. Far more people study law part-time with us in Hong Kong U SPACE than anywhere else in Hong Kong. And we have, 800, 1,000, more than 1,000 students a year. So you can see most of the students, although we have so many students who go on to become successful lawyers, if 1,000 of students of ours a year were becoming lawyers, there would be huge numbers of lawyers in Hong Kong. You can see large numbers of students study law with us every year for reasons other than becoming lawyers, or in most cases because they're not sure. And if they're not sure, they normally start at the easiest level, because that's where you want to test it, and that is Thomas's course, the Certificate in Legal Studies.
Many of my students don't necessarily want to become lawyers, and the reason why is, if I look at my students, their background, a lot of them are very successful already. I mean, it seems surprising, but I have students who are CEOs. I have students who are professors, right? If you ask me privately, I can tell you, by doing a Google search who they are. But that's fine. Not everyone wants to become a lawyer, or they aren't sure yet. And one of the great things about my program is that, unlike other programs, for example, you study JD, after 1 year, you're not happy with it, you pay $400,000 already, what do you get after 1 year, all right? Of course, you get the knowledge, but you don't get an award, right? For my program, every step of the way, you get an award. And for some students, they might consider, hey, I haven't studied for a long time, I'm a bit stressed, I'm a bit concerned, I'm going to start off with the certificates and then apply to other law programs, right? And many of my students do that. Then they apply to, London U or the graduate.
You can stop and start, can't
you?
Yeah,
stop and start. And, because it's so affordable, it's so relatively easy, the analogy I use is the difference between learning how to drive and becoming a professional race car driver, right? So these two programs is, because you have to be able to get the skills, right? To argue cases in court, to give advice to clients, right? Whereas my course, really the fundamentals, the basics, right? What you need to know, okay? So depends on you. If you want to do it in a very short, affordable time frame, then I recommend, Danny's course. You want an internationally prestigious, portable, worldwide qualification, then of course the London ULB. You want an easy way to start, then my program. All right.
We can see more questions coming in. There's one over there. But again, priority to anyone here with us. If you have any questions, yes, please. There's a question over there. And then for those of you who send in questions online, don't worry, we will get to them as well.
Thank you for all the information three of you have given us. I have a problem. I have completed the London ULB program. I have graduated with a less good honor sometime in 1992, somewhere around that years. But I have difficulty in going to the PCL course because I have to undertake the PCL conversion course first. And I have studied a certificate in legal study. And I have studied the basic law and the business association. But for my case, I have difficulty in going to undertake the graduate diploma in English law. You have to start all over again for at least 3 years. So what would be your advice? How should I go forward and get a PCL place?
I think the first thing to say is please don't worry. There are a lot of students in your situation, and I see that every year. You're not the only one, okay? So I think that's some sort of reassured, because I can tell you I know that, because I have been reading the applications for the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law. And not just this, I read all the applications for the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law. We have 400-500 a year, but I read them all. Not just this year, I've been doing it for 4 years or so. And I've seen many students in your situation. And honestly speaking, in your situation, they normally do the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law. They, having done a University of London LB, they go back and do it. I appreciate, of course, it does mean you're going to have to do another 2 years on the graduate diploma if you want to get full PCL eligibility a third year. But you probably, to get into the PCLL, you probably need better grades than your original result, right? And for that, you need another qualification. And the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law is quicker than doing a full LLB again. Studies, you can follow through to the new PCL pathway that's open from the certificate diploma, advanced diploma in legal studies. But that wouldn't necessarily be quicker. From what I can see, you have two issues. You need to cover all the PCL subjects, but you're seeming also to say that perhaps you need higher grades to get into PCL as well, and the higher grades would have to come from doing another course again, I'm afraid.
So I have to study for the graduate diploma in English law?
Well, you could just take some PCL. You could just, we offer preparatory courses for PCL conversion exams. You could just take the separate PCL conversion exams. And when did you finish University of London LLB? What year was it?
1992.
92. It is, I mean, technically speaking, the PCLL say there is no time limit, but if your purpose in doing PCLL is to become a solicitor or barrister, both the Law Society and the Bar will impose time limits. So it's highly likely they wouldn't actually recognise your University of London LLB because it's too old now. And PCL might not admit you for that reason. So you're going to need some kind of fresh qualification.
Can I ask, when did you do the certificate in legal studies?
3 or 4 years ago.
Okay. I mean, my concern is because you finished the LB a long time ago, the law has shifted so dramatically that it might be in your interest. I mean, for me, I need to update the law all the time, like so, you know, the law, you know, those years ago to now has changed so much. I mean, you know, corporate law, you know, family law, a lot of law. So it might be, I know that's, you know, probably not as attractive, but doing it actually, again, in a, you know, in the graduate diploma might be a good idea, just because it's just changed so much, yeah.
Sorry, I wish we could offer an easier answer, but even if you apply for the PCL, as I said, because of when you got your original degree, it's very likely that that would be considered. We can't say for sure because we don't handle PCL and legal. It's very likely you would then find that they would say the qualification was too old. So it's better you get a new qualification now before you apply.
So I think I will start all over again.
Well, as again, remember, there are many, many people like you, and yes, many people who go on very successfully, okay, don't they, Simon? Yes.
Yeah, there was I think it was a general understanding, because I was the PCL course coordinator a while back in 1997 to 2003, and I read a lot of your applications, etc. I think the consensus is like, your law degree should have been completed within about 10 years, okay? So yours from 1992, really, the time is elapsed already. So you have to think about perhaps another alternative route, like the GDL, etc. Yeah.
Okay. We've got a lot of questions coming in. Any more questions in the room?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Eric, you've asked, I would like to know more about career path if I take the course, but we're not entirely clear which course you mean. If you'd like to send a follow-up, we'd be very happy to answer about that question. In the meantime, we have questions both on the graduate diploma and on the University of London. Let me take, first of all, the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law. Does the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law allow me to continue to solicitor and barrister legal training courses in the UK? Thank you very much for that question. That's a very important point which we didn't cover earlier. Of course, we're trying to be succinct, but many people will be thinking about whether they can continue on to qualify as a lawyer in the UK. And the answer is, both if you enroll this year and if you enroll before September the 1st, and for the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law you must, because the application deadline is only a month away now, July the 2nd. But if you enroll this year before September the 1st on the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law or the University of London LLB, both those courses are recognised for continuing to qualify as both solicitors and barristers in the UK, or England and Wales. You know, Scotland has a separate legal system. So Scotland, if you're thinking about Scotland, sorry, we can't help you, but England and Wales, fine. Okay, even better. Okay, the subjects necessary for continuing to become a lawyer in England and Wales are fewer than Hong Kong. If your goal is to become a lawyer in England and Wales, you only need to do 2 years on the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law. Okay, we have a third year, an extension, that's for if you're doing the PCLL. After 2 years, you will be eligible. Remember what I said, if you want to actually move to the UK earlier, after 1 year, you can move to Manchester and finish the course there. Now, this is a very good question because the situation will be changing. That's why I said before September the 1st. After September the 1st, the pathway for becoming a solicitor in England and Wales will change. There will be a new exam. If you're enrolled before September the 1st, here in Hong Kong, you don't have to be enrolled in England and Wales. You are eligible for both the old route and the new route. You can decide later. If you enroll after September the 1st here in Hong Kong, you will only be eligible for the new route. So if anyone is thinking of possibly taking the path towards becoming a lawyer in England and Wales, and of course you wouldn't be sure at this early stage, but if you're thinking about that, it is strongly in your interest to enroll on an English law course, and you have the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law or the University of London LLB before September the 1st. Okay, and Simon, you would add a qualification. If you're thinking of University of London LLB, you need to really, not just September the 1st, you've got to get moving at least, a month or so before.
Right, yes.
Also a question, yes, do you want to read out the question?
Yeah, sure, yes. There's a question concerning the University of London qualification. Are there graduates succeeded in getting admitted to practice in other countries? Yes, we had a lot of students from study with HKU SPACE who succeeded in getting admissions to legal practice in Canada, New York Bar, as well as California Bar. But of course, a lot of graduates succeeded in getting admission to practice in Hong Kong as well as in England and Wales. But mind you, you have to check with the rules of that particular jurisdictions. You know, there are different rules set by the qualifying bodies there. And also course attendance is usually a very, very important requirement. So if you just do it as an independent, the whole program as an independent candidate, that may not exactly fulfill their requirement. Like they are asking, actually the qualifying body would ask for your record of attendance. So that's why normally got a lot of students coming back to us asking for certification. We will give you that testimony, okay? You have attended how many hours with us, that sort of thing. Now, this is important, I have to stress, because there are students who couldn't get that, get admitted just because of the lack of, insufficient hours of attendance. Like they may have done the first year independently, but second year they started, doing the qualification with us. That's not sufficient. So I would advise that if your aim is to get admitted to those jurisdictions, first check the rules. Second, you have to attend courses. All right. So that's why Hong Kong SPACE is here for you.
Thomas, you're qualified in Australia, right? A lot of people study here and then go off to qualify in Australia.
Yes, I think one of the great things about studying law is in general is the ability to work around the world in terms of the common law jurisdictions. I mean, you look at the law firms, especially the larger international law firms. You have Hong Kong lawyers working in the UK, working in Singapore, Malaysia, Australia. Of course, that requires additional requirements and so on. But what I'm saying is the law that you learned in the common law system is very much transferable, right? So, for example, the corporate law we have in Hong Kong is very much based upon English and also, strangely enough, Australian law. So, it's just good to know.
We've only got about 10 minutes left. We've still got plenty of questions coming in by email, but I just want to give one more opportunity to our friends here. Yes, over in the corner.
I studied in the CTU some 25 years ago for a course called the Higher Diploma in Legal Studies, but I didn't pursue the career in legal field after all these years. But in the future, if I get retired from my present job, I want to pursue a second career in legal executive. Can you give me some exemption for the studies that I have earned in the past?
Maybe I can answer that. As we touched upon before, I mean, we appreciate the fact that you studied in the past. But just like for me, like as a lawyer, we have to do continuous education every single year, and the reason for that is because the law changes so dramatically. The law is all about, knowing the requirements. And unfortunately, while, you have a strong basis, I think it's better in a way for you to start afresh. What I mean by that is because, the law has changed so much. The legal profession has changed. A lot of things that were not there in the past. We didn't have online smartphones, right? So a lot of things have changed. So it might be more advantageous for you, especially if you're thinking about pursuing a second path, right? To know the law, the new law, so to speak, right? Otherwise, you might be thinking about, the law in the past rather than the law that it is now, if I can say that.
To become a legal executive needs to be recognized by the Law Society. Thomas's course is recognized by the Law Society, and they set very strict requirements. If we didn't follow those requirements, then you wouldn't actually get the legal executive qualification. So that's why we have to, even when we would like to be flexible ourselves, we have to follow their requirements. Does that answer your question?
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah. There's a question coming in online from Kylie. Kylie says, any courses for students without legal background? I think probably all of our courses, but Thomas, maybe you'd like to pick up
I
that?
mean, all our courses, we don't assume any prior legal knowledge, understanding. That's a great thing. We understand that, people study with us because they don't have the background in law. I mean, it's great if someone already has background in law. I mean, that gives you an unbeatable advantage, but we don't assume any prior training at all. So whether it's my course, Danny's course, Simon's course, there's no assumption of having any legal training.
When I joined what is now my course, of course it wasn't back then, when I started as a student on the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law, I had no legal background. I had never studied law in my life before. And we have you mentioned doing studying a law course after you retire. Every year on all of these courses, we have a significant number of students who have retired. There's no age limit, and we're a wide range of ages. Significant number of students who've retired and want to study law, not necessarily for a legal career, but just out of interest, come and join these courses. Of course, if they join your course, there's no entry requirement. Of course, there are many people with graduates and masters on the course, but there's no actual entry requirements, right?
I mean, we had quite a number of retirees who studied my course. I mean, the great thing is because they come in at night, the weekend modes as well. So I actually have a lot of retired students. Yeah.
We've got about 5 minutes, slightly more left. Any more questions from our friends here? There's quite an interesting question, Simon, that has come in by email, which affects both of our courses. What is the main difference between the University of London LLB course and the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law? Because they both allow you to qualify as lawyers in Hong Kong and England and Wales. So do you want to have a go? What's the difference between them?
I think in terms of in the PCLL context, if you're looking for qualifying as a lawyer in Hong Kong, getting admitted to PCLL, I think the one thing is that the GDL is conversion free. Okay, you just go ahead and
no extra exams.
No extra examinations. But for Hong Kong, for the London program, you still need to do some conversion because that is taken as an English law degree. But the number of, if you follow our plan, the number of conversion examinations you're going to take won't be that lot. Okay, just about 3 top-up subjects plus 1 or 2 extra. That's it. So if you compare to other English law degrees offered in Hong Kong and anywhere else, you literally will be taking less conversion examinations. And we provide prep courses for students who are taking the conversion examinations as well. Okay, I think that is one, in terms of legal practice admission, that is one big difference between the two programs.
I mean, it's worth saying that these are the 2 most popular part-time study ways to in Hong Kong into the legal profession. I mean, you see a lot of other courses making a lot of splash, right? But the vast majority of students who choose to study part-time in Hong Kong will choose either the graduate diploma in English Hong Kong law or the University of London LLB. And they can lead, as you said, they lead to the same opportunities, but it's really a choice between what you want to emphasize. Graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law, that's easier in terms of going on to the PCLL and has a very, very strong track record in terms of more than 75% of our students admitted. They don't have to take conversion exams. On the other hand, okay, University of London LLB, you get an LLB from University of London. And most people, if they're just looking for the prestigious qualification, they would prefer the LLB from University of London. If you're going to go to somewhere like Australia or Canada, a qualification from University of London probably more useful than a graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law. So you have to, they both have, but that's why they're so popular. They both have their own merits, and they're slightly different. Graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law is more directly qualifying for the PCLL in Hong Kong, and indeed legal practice in UK as well. Whereas University of London LLB is broader. It provides you with internationally famous degree. Everybody knows University of London, and it's also probably more useful in other places outside England and Wales and Hong Kong. Yeah. Okay. Maybe the last chance.
Even we don't ask questions
we'll still
now.
Be here, yes.
I mean, we have a lot of ways to ask us. We have phone, we have email, we have Instagram, we have Facebook. So you can see here, you just type in Hong Kong SPACE Law. We also have a brand new page on Hong Kong SPACE. You can just type in, Hong Kong SPACE study law. You can find us, it's all very easy, all right? So if you think of something, please feel free to ask us.
And Thomas, if you pass the top sheet from that pile. One thing I'd like to stress at Hong Kong SPACE, we're a non-profit making institution. We're not like some other people advertising that they're there to make money out of you. We do not make profits. All our money goes back into educating students in Hong Kong. And that is our sole job, to educate students, okay? That's why we are always very, very interested in student feedback. Hong Kong U SPACE, students come first. And any of you who've taken Hong Kong U SPACE courses before will know you get regular surveys where you get to rate the teachers. You get to tell us how we're doing. And it does start today. For those of you who are here, we'd very much like your honest, anonymous opinions on how we did today. So for those, and if you're listening online, of course, you're welcome to send your opinions in as well. But for those of you who are actually here with us today, please do take a moment to fill in the white sheet, which is among the sheets in front of you, and just tell us how you think we did. If you do decide to study with us, you'll be given many, many more surveys like this. And I myself and Thomas and Simon, we spend a huge amount of time reading the feedback from that survey so that we can do our best to provide the best possible experience for students.
Okay. Well, if there's no more questions for now, we'd like to thank you, all of you, in the classroom and both online. So thank you very much for your participation. So please visit our Hong Kong U SPACE YouTube channel, our own Hong Kong U SPACE Law Facebook page, or, just to sum up quickly, Hong Kong U SPACE been running law programs for a long time, and we know the needs of part-time students. And studying law is good, whether you want to become a lawyer or, advance your legal career. We have, 3 great options available. So think about it. Well, not too long, because, if you want to become a lawyer in the UK, especially, it's a good idea to enroll as soon as you can. Okay, so thank you very much for all your time. Thank you.
Thank you. And please do feel free to come up and ask us any questions if you like.